February 17th, 2026. The Essential Buddha Dhamma, translated and edited by Bruce Evans, compiled by Somdit Prabhuta Gosa Charya. We're in page 491 in chapter 8. Sammasankappa, right thought. Sammasankappa is the second factor of the path. It's generally glossed in the text in this way. Bhikkhus, what is right thought? Thoughts of renunciation, nekkhamma sankappa. Thoughts of non-enmity, appaya sankappa. Thoughts of non-aggression, vihimsa sankappa. This is right thought. In addition, there's a definition that divides right thought into the mundane and transcendent levels. Thus, bhikkhus, what is right thought? I say that there are two levels of right thought. Right thought that still has outflows, which is classified as materious and brings states of actions, results to the skandhas of the groups of aggregates. And right thought that is noble without outflows. These outflows they're talking about is asavas, taints, transcendent, a factor of the path. Sammasankappa, right thought that still has outflows, is thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-enmity, thoughts of non-aggression. Right thought that is noble without outflows, transcendent, the factor of the path is the cognition, deliberation, the thought. Fixing of the mind, resolve, focus, and speech. Formations. Vichi sankhara, ones whose mind is noble, whose mind is without outflows, who has converged with the path. Magga sammaki, who is maintaining the noble path. Now, the following explanation is limited in general definition of right thought, sammasankappa, on the conscious mundane level. According to this definition, sammasankappa, right thought, is deliberation or thought in the right way, diametrically opposed to Ch8, miccha sankappa, wrong ways of thinking, of which there are three wrong ways of thinking. Kamma sankappa or kamma vitaka, thoughts that revolve around sensuality, thoughts of seeking or indulging in the objects of desire through the five sense doors or various objects of the desire and attachment. These are selfish thoughts. They are thoughts of passion, raja, or greed, lopa. The second kind of wrong thought is abhayapata sankappa, Bhayapata vitaka, thoughts containing hatred, anger, or resentment, thinking and seeing things negatively, seeing others as enemies, opponents, seeing everything as an affront. It is the thoughts of aversion in the passive sense. It is opposed being metta. Vihimsa sankappa, vihimsa vitaka, thoughts of hurting, damaging, cutting down, destroying, wanting to hurt others, wanting others to suffer and be miserable. It is the thoughts of aversion in an aggressive sense. It opposes karuna. Now, these thoughts or approaches to thoughts are normal for the majority of people when they are unenlightened persons cognizing sense object, be it through seeing, hearing, or feeling. The example of one of the two reactions will usually arise. If the experience is agreeable, they like it, want it, be attached to it, and follow after it. If it's not agreeable, they don't like it. They are offended by it, angered by it, and want to push it away. From there, subsequent thoughts will proceed. Under the influence of that, like and dislike. For this reason, the normal thinking of unenlightened beings tends to incline or to one direction or another, insidiously pulled along by either likes or dislikes. This caused them to fail to see things as they actually are. The thoughts that proceed from pleasure or liking lead to conflict, attachment, and attraction. It becomes kamma vitaka. Those that proceed from displeasure or dislike lead to aversion, hatred, hostility, seeing things negatively, and this becomes apayata vitaka. Those thoughts that surge outwards into aggressiveness, thoughts of hurting and destroying, becomes vihimsa vitaka. These three kinds of thinking lead to the incorrect attitude to things around the world. These biased kinds of thoughts arise as the results of lacking yoniso manasikara. At the onset, wise reflection, looking to things superficially, cognizing objects at their face value without mindfulness and comprehension. Thoughts are left to run as they will after feelings or the rationalizations of like and dislike. There is no analytical reflection or component factor to diving into determinant according to the principles of reason analysis. In this respect, Ch8, wrong view, is mistaken understanding, not seeing things as they really are, and thus cause the arising of wrong thought, Ch8, mistaken and distorted thought, deliberation, and attitude towards things. This wrong thought in turn reflects back to give rise to increased Ch8, wrong view. So Ch8, wrong view, and Samsankappa, wrong thought, reinforce each other. In order to look things as they actually are or themselves, yoniso manasikara must be employed. Wise attention, which means that at the time, thinking and deliberation must be clear, must be independent, free from either like, attachment, or involvement, or dislike, repulsion, and hostility. This means that there must be both samma titi and sammasankappa, right view and right thought. And the two must support and reinforce each other. In other words, by having yoniso manasikara, wise attention, one has samma titi, right view, see things according to Ch8, the truth of nature, the law inherent in all things, which things are seen according to the truth. There is Sammasankappa, right thought. When there is this kind of impartial thought and deliberation, independent of like and dislike, then things can be seen as they clearly really are. Right view is reinforced and augmented. From there, both factors continue to reinforce and influence each other. In the mind containing reason analysis of yoniso manasikara, there is a clear and independent thinking that is free of biases, either of the kind that attaches and attracts or the kind that repulses and repels. In opposition to Ch8, wrong thought, it is called right thought, Sammasankappa. And there is also three kinds. Nekama sankappa, or nekama vitaka, thoughts that are free from greed and sensual desire, not immersed or caught up in trying to satisfy desire, thoughts that are without selflessness, thoughts of renunciation, thoughts that are virtuous and skillful. It is classed as thoughts free from passion and thoughts free from greed. The second one is apaya sankappa, apayata vitaka. These are thoughts that are free from aversion, resentment, various kinds of negativity. It particularly focuses on the opposite quality, which is metta, goodwill, friendliness, the desire for others to be happy. It is classed as thoughts free of aversion. The third kind is Vihimsa sankappa, vihimsa sa vitaka. These are thoughts free of hurtfulness, thoughts of damaging or destroying, particularly focused on the opposite quality, which is karuna. Compassionate thoughts of helping others to be free from dukkha, from suffering. This is also classed as the kind of thinking free from aversion. Note that in Buddhism, when talking of good and skillful conditions as opposites of unskillful condition, instead of using an antonym or the opposite term, the same term is often simply phrased in the negative way. This causes people to feel that Buddhism is negative and a passive teaching, that simply giving up evil actions and doing nothing is already a virtue. For instance, in the case of Ch8 Sankappa, wrong thought is described as thoughts of enmity, while right thought, instead of being described as thoughts of goodwill, is simply to be said as non-enmity. Merely negating the wrong quality. The mistake of this understanding will be discussed later. But at this point, I would like to briefly offer 3 arguments for countering these wrong ideas. The first argument is the path Magga is practical teaching that aims specifically at the results in terms of panya, wisdom, and is the objective to realization of the truth, not simply to develop ethical values or morality, sila. It must be especially born in the mind. Sammasankappa, right thought, is panya, path factor, a wisdom factor, not a morality path factor. Thus, the teaching of Sammasankappa is to abstain from thoughts of enmity and having thoughts of love and goodwill. It's not geared only towards making people moral, to refrain from killing and hurting each other, and to be helpful to each other, but to train them to have thoughts that do not incline towards hatred, so that thought is lucid and independent, accords with the truth. In this way, a correct and undistorted understanding of truth is obtained. In this respect, a negatively constructed definition of Sammasankappa as thinking that is free from greed, without enmity, and without aggression, is in fact the most suitable. This means that when one thinks of something, if one does not side with oneself or does not think with hatred, aggression, and an intention to destroy, that thinking will be pure. It can be expected that it will be accurate in accord with the truth. The second point for countering wrong ideas is from the etymological perspective. The Pali words with the negative prefix, the a in it, for example, do not merely mean not. The thing, but can also mean an opposition or both negation and opposing each other. For instance, the word akusala does not mean non-skillful, which technically may include apayakata, neutral, neither bad nor good, but actually means papa, evil, that is the opposite of kusala. The word amita, non-friend, does not refer to neutral people, those who are not friends, mita, but actually enemies. But in Sammasankappa, the prefix a carries a meaning that negates in a broad sense. That is, meaning both with which is diametrically opposed to the condition concerned, and also to that which is not it. For example, apayakasankappa means the goodwill, metta, that is opposite to enmity, apayata. Also the pure, impartial thoughts that are clear, free from enmity. Thus positive qualities such as metta are included in this path factor. The third argument for countering the negative ideas is the negative prefix a does not only give words a broad meaning, but also a firm, absolute one. It is more than simply an opposite because the use of the negative in this case aimed to specify the utter absence of the thing, the complete absence of the trace for it. Apayakata sankappa here refers to thought in which there is no remaining trace of hatred, enmity of any description. A perfect goodwill, metta, without boundary, emphasizes the absolute level. From the discussion so far, it may be summarized that in general, when unenlightened beings think of something, they do so in the response to desire in some form or another. If their thinking is not in accordance with views such as personal value formed by desire based on ignorance, then it is under the influence of a fresh desire arising at that time, which may take form of wanting, which still does go by the name of tanha, desire, or in the form of pride and attachment to station known as mana. Thus it is said that thinking of unenlightened beings contain ahamkara, the I-making, mamkara, mind-making, and mana nusaya, the conceit of I am. Or in short, their thoughts are connected with the manipulated by desire, conceit, and views. It would be wrong to say that the thinking of unenlightened beings is a service rendered by the mind to desire. It would not be wrong to say that the thinking of unenlightened beings is a service rendered by the mind to desire. The ways thinking in the service of the desire manifests can be both positive and negative. On the positive side, it manifests as kamma sankappa, thinking to obtain, thinking to serve the self. On the negative side, it manifests as bhayapata sankappa, thinking obstructively or in negative ways, thinking as an adversary, afraid others will contend with or oppose one, thinking offensively, unfavorably, hateful, and vihimsa sankappa, thinking aggressively and destructively. Thoughts that would serve desire can be countered with yoniso manasikara, reason analysis on realities. Such thinking has no central desire, enmity, or aggression, and thus is pure and in accordance with the truth. It is not inclined to veer off to one side, and thus is thinking that has a broad range. We may define right thought, sammasankappa, in this sense: any thought that is not for the purpose of indulging selfish desires, that is not malicious, that is not aimed at hurting or harming. This is countering desirous thoughts as a function of panya, wisdom, which directly supports sammasankappa, right view. Alternatively, thoughts that serve desire may be countered by reason analysis for rousing the skillful. Thoughts that contain this kind of reason analysis are the opposite kinds of thoughts to sensuality, enmity, and aggression. Altruistic thoughts, thoughts of goodwill, thoughts with compassion, which brings forth specific kinds of skillful qualities. While right thought, sammasankappa, in this sense, is helpful to sammatiti, right view, it is more directly related to morality, leading directly to right speech, right action, and right livelihood. It may be represented graphically in the figure. Note that the kind of classification is not absolute division, but simply a way of showing the results that are dominant in each case. In addition, the figure shown here is showing the relationship between right thought and two of the morality factor of the path of right speech and right action, which are the channels through which the divine abundance of the Brahma Viharas find a practical expression and also the base for integration. Sanghavatu. There are other noteworthy points regarding the relationship between Sammatiti and Sammasankappa. And that is, in terms of the three roots of unskillful, greed, hatred, and delusion. Sammatiti, right view, eliminates the most rudimentary defilements, kilesas, the delusions, whereas Sammasankappa eliminates secondary or derivative kilesas. Nikamma Sankappa counters desire or greed, while Apayakata Sankappa and Vihimsa Sankappa counter hatred. However, progress in merely these two factors of the path is still only the beginning. The development of Panya, wisdom, has not yet reached the full level and the goal of practice. In fact, the practice of any factor of the path alone cannot bring about the consummation of the factor. All factors must grow and be developed in step with each other. Thus, at this point, we must understand that the three aspects of right thought, Nekamma Sankappa, sometimes refers to the physical act of going forth as a bhikkhu or a bhikkhu, or a monk, or a siddhi, or a brahmin, or an ascetic, or going live in the seclusion from the household life to the homeless life. Apayakata Sankappa focuses on the development of metta, goodwill. Avihimsa Sankappa focuses on the development of karuna, compassion. The wisdom arising on this level, while it may be sammatiti, right view, and see things as they really are, it's not pure from full liberating realization until it reaches the level of maturity in which there is equanimity, which requires the foundation of concentration, samadhi. Even goodwill, metta, a quality that can be developed right from the very beginning stages of the Dhamma practice, it's not simple in the quality its usually superficial understanding would indicate. Because metta, or people speak of everywhere to really true metta. For that reason, in order to prevent any misunderstandings, a number of elementary points should be first understood. Goodwill, metta, means friendliness, love, goodwill, sympathy, and understanding. The predilection for desire to create and foster benefit for all beings, both human and animal. Metta, goodwill, is a universal condition, both from the perspective of those who should have it and from the perspective of those who should receive it. Thus, it should be used by both the poor to the rich and the rich to the poor, by people of low standing and people of high standing, and by people of high standing to people of low standing, by householders and bhikkhus, bhikkhus to householders. Goodwill, metta, is the fundamental quality of the heart in building human relations, causing people to look at each other in a positive way, to have goodwill towards each other, and to be ready to listen and to reason with each other, rather than to adhere to selfishness or aversion. An important observation in regard to goodwill is the success and failure. The success refers to successful results desired from goodwill, metta. Failure is the failure or mistaken practice of metta. According to the teaching, the success of goodwill is suppression of enmity. Apadupasamo itisa sampati, and is developed through the rising of infatuation. There is no special points for consideration on the success of goodwill. But in terms of the failure of these are some important points that need to be borne in mind. Se neha means love, desire, and attachment for the particular person, personal affection, such as a love for a child or one's partner. Se neha can be cause for bias in helping others in the wrong way, known as chandagati, biased action based on affection. When we hear it said, he was especially kind to me, the boss really had metta to her. Those are rather examples of affection, seneha, which are a failure of metta. True metta is the quality of support to fairness, because it is neutral quality leading to the state of mind that is free from both selfish impulses and lean towards something and aversion and hostility to destroy it. This is friendliness, a desire for benefit of all equally. One considers, one judges and acts on the biases of reason, aiming for true benefit and happiness for all, not for just aim for what one wants or someone likes or wants. True metta is like this. The Blessed One, Gautama, has a heart that is equally disposed towards the archer Kamantanu, which was hired to kill the Buddha. Devadatta, who tried to kill the Buddha, caused a split in the order of Bhikkhus, the Sangha. The bandit, Angulimala, who killed many people and even tried to kill the Buddha Gautama before he became converted to Buddhism. The elephant, Dhanapala, which was released by Devadatta in hope of killing the Buddha Gautama, and Rahula, the Buddha's own son. The benefit of goodwill can be seen, for example, in argument or debate. It causes each of the sides to listen to the arguments and helps both sides to attain proper understanding. The example, when one of the Nigantas sect, or one of the persons from the Jainism sect, Nigantas, in conversation with the Buddha Gautama, used harsh speech and reviled the Buddha Gautama. The Buddha responded with reasoned speech, moving the Niganta, the Jainism sect, to exclaim, "In that case, I am inspired by the Reverend Gautama. It is true. The Reverend Gautama is one who is trained in body and mind. It is marvelous. It is unheard of, even though the Reverend Gautama has been so confounded and harassed by me. His features are still clear. His face is radiant, as is fitting for an Arihat, a fully enlightened Buddha. In the event of Sammasankappa, wrong thought arising, to correct it with wisdom method, one must not fall into thoughts that are agitated, scattered, and depressed, but use reason analysis, yoniso manasikara, diving into the causes of thinking and reflecting on its benefits and defects. As in this Buddha Vasana, Bhikkhus, before the enlightenment, when I was still an unenlightened bodhisattva, the following thoughts arose in me. What if I were to divide my thinking into two sides? Then I put central thoughts, thoughts of enmity, thoughts of aggression on one side, and put thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-enmity, and thoughts of non-aggression on the other. When I, heedful, ardent, resolve, experienced central thoughts, I knew clearly that central thoughts have arisen in me. This central thoughts is harmful to myself, it's harmful to others. It is harmful to both myself and others. It stifles wisdom, as is an opposition, and does not lead to nibbida. When I reflected that I harmed myself, central thoughts disappeared. When I reflected that I harmed others, that it harmed myself and others, that it is stifled wisdom, was an oppression, that it did not lead to nibbida, that central thought disappeared. Thus did I relinquish and reduce sensual thoughts that arose and do away with them. When I was heedful, experienced thoughts of enmity, thoughts of aggression, I knew clearly. Thus did I relinquish and reduce all thoughts of enmity, aggression that arose and eliminated them all. Bhikkhus, the more you consider, the more you mull over any particular thought, the more your mind will be inclined to that thought. If a bhikkhu considers and mulls over sensual thoughts, he discards thoughts of renunciation, thinks only sensual thoughts. His mind inclines towards sensual thoughts. If a bhikkhu considers and mulls over thoughts of renunciation, he therefore gives up sensual thoughts and thinks only thoughts of renunciation. His mind will be inclined toward thoughts of renunciation. The initial practice of Dhamma, according to the first two factors of the path, to be summarized in the following Buddha Vasana. Bhikkhus, a bhikkhu who possesses four qualities can be said to be one who is maintaining the practice that is not wrong, and to have planted the beginnings of the destruction of the asavas, the outflows. Those four qualities are thoughts of renunciation, thoughts of non-enmity, thoughts of non-aggression, and samma ti, right view. This is the end of chapter 8. So chapter 8, we discussed samma ti, right view, and sammasankappa, right thought. But today we read Sammasankappa from page 491 to the end of page 502. The Essentials of Buddha Dhamma, translated and edited by Bruce Evans.